Hi Inovecians, it's Julia here with, I think, my last video on skills that we are going to need for the Inovec sweater. My last video was about casting off, and this one is going to be about picking up for the sleeves and starting to knit the sleeves of the sweater. So I'm going to show this off in class as well, but just wanted to give you a little preview about what we're going to be doing. Okay, so here's my sweater, feeling really great. And oh my gosh, there's the bottom. It's so attractive. Let's go. So in order to pick up and knit for the sleeves, the first thing that I have to do is make sure that I pick up all of the stitches that are there on the waste yarn. So I'm going to do that with a circular needle. And I am going to use a smaller circular needle than I originally used because the stitches have been stretched a little bit, or sort of like squished a little bit, so they're smaller, and it might be hard to pick up if I go on I think I'm using 9s. So I picked a smaller circular needle. I am going with a 7 here. I wouldn't go too much smaller because, well, actually, why not? You could go as small as you want on this. You just can't knit with it. Just can't knit with it. All right, so I'm going to pick these up. So I'm going to pick them up sort of, I'm imagining that waste yarn is my needle, and I'm sort of slipping them like purlwise. Yeah. So slipping purlwise. You know, and this is a little time intensive. You know, you just have to sort of pay attention to it carefully and just keep sliding along. But yeah, I'm actually loving the fact right now that I picked a smaller needle. It's just allowing me to go in a little bit more easily. And I'm just keeping the string on there, the pink monstrosity, my good old friend. Yeah. Look over there every so often to make sure that I'm on camera. Yeah. Doop-biddy-doo. Hope everyone is having a fantastic day. Looking forward to seeing everyone, the progress they have made. Let's go. Okay, keep going here. Oh yeah, Thanksgiving just happened. I hope everybody's Thanksgiving was great. You know, I told you that I was hosting for the first time. And came out pretty well, but just in spite of the fact that, or despite, I'm not sure which one, despite the fact that my parents-in-law, or my in-laws, host Thanksgiving and have all the traditional trappings, they do not like any of them. Right? Which is, so like, they made stuffing, but none of them eat stuffing. Luckily, I did ask, and nobody liked cranberry sauce. So I didn't make any cranberry sauce because I don't either. Hooray. Okay. All right, I'm almost there. See how tight that last stitch became? Like, it really wants to slip away. So you have to like make sure to pull that yarn back, get it in there. That's why a smaller needle can be really helpful. Okay, so everything, all the stitches are now on my circular needle with the pink monstrosity, woohoo. And now I'm going to find some scissors. Hold on. Tee hee hee. Okay, I'm gonna find some scissors. And I am going to trim my pink thing. And I am just going to pull it off now. Ta-da! It's gone. It's right there in my hands. Don't need it. Woohoo! So here we go. I have all the stitches here on my sleeve. And here is something that I am going to do now. I am going to take a stitch marker and I'm going to mark it on the first and last of these stitches. And it just helps me get a little visual confirmation on where I'm picking up. So I'm going to grab some stitch markers, the clippy kind. Or you can, oh, you know what? I have some safety pins. Whatever, I'm just going to use those. Because I'm all about the improv, baby. Okay, so this first one that's here, and you know what? Like, I'm just going to take it off later. So I am going to just kind of stick it in there. All right, and then I'm going to go over here. Oh yeah, and that's where I did that little tug. The sort of the wrap around and sliding back and forth. So I got that. All right, so I'm gonna clippy that as well. Oh, that'll come out later. Boop. All right, so let's look at our directions here. Alrighty. Place the stitches from waste yarn onto needles. Great, did that. Beginning at center of underarm, pick up and knit 4 from the underarm. Then we're going to knit all the way around, pick up and knit the remaining 4. So the thing that annoys people the most is when they get holes under the arm sleeve and they feel like, oh, I need to sew up these holes are annoying, you know, I don't want them here, etc. So I'm going to show you a hack so that you don't have holes, or your holes are not distressing. Okay, but I might not need it. Well, I'll see. I'll see how I feel. Alrighty. So now I'm going to pick up a knit. I got the hair there. So essentially all that I'm going to be doing is I'm going to look at my cast off row. You know, those are my cast offs. And then I'm just going to be like looking right below that for the first row of stitches. So as soon as you can see sort of those little V's forming, you're seeing the rows of stitches. And here's a little secret. You can pick up in the second, you could pick up in the first row, you could pick up in the second row, you could pick up in the third row. It doesn't really matter as long as you're sort of consistent about where you pick up. So I tend to pick up maybe in the, you know, I'll try first. Let's just, I might try second. I like that it's a slightly farther away. So I'm going to start at that center. And I'm going to go into a V. So I got my yarn set. Up. All right. I see a V there, and I'm going to dig into it. So that's the stitch that I am, I'm picking up and I'm going to knit into. So basically I've pretended that there is a stitch on my left hand needle, and here it is. My right hand needle is going into it. And then I'm going to take my yarn. Again, I'm just like pretending like there's an imaginary left hand needle over here. And this is kind of in my way. And I'm just going to knit with it. So I'm going to wrap it around I'm going to pull it through. So I have a stitch. I've picked up a stitch, and it's from the center of the cast off stitches. And then I'm going to find my next, oh, wait a second. Yeah, I'm going to find my next one. Let's see. Yeah, okay. So I want to make sure that I am not blocking the camera. And I want to make sure that I'm in the stitch parallel to the one next to it. So you can really see if you're in the correct row. And I'm going to dig in to there. And I am going to wrap my yarn around the needle. Let's get my yarn over here. There we go. That's 2. Right? And then I want to take my next one that's a V. I'm going to wrap it around. I was thinking to myself for a second. Okay. I'm going to take my, I'm going to ignore that one that's like the other, going the other way. And I'm going to show you that really big one. That's where I'm going to knit in. I'm picking it up. And look at this, you know, this is 4, right? But I still have a space to go. Ooh, and I have to make sure that I pick this up with my needle. I've got one off of it. So I have to watch out for that. You see how that's like flying free? It does not, it should not be. So I missed that one. Okay. So I'm still going to have a hole there if I just went straight to this. So you know what? The secret is you can pick up as many as you want as long as you keep track and then you reduce them. Why not? So I am going to pick up another one. I'm going to go here. So I'm going to wrap it around again. And that's 5. And that should get me there because this is sort of like pulling on the same yarn now. Okay. And then, so I'm going to note in my brain that I had 5. And then I'm just going to start knitting off of my circular needle and try to, because I like to use double points, I am going to just knit around until it feels like it's relatively equal. I started with 46. I added 5, so that's 51. I'm going to add another 5, so that's 56, I guess. So 56 divided by 4, that's 14. So let's see, that should be about the right amount. So 3, 6, 9, 12. Wow, I actually got 100% right, 14. Okay, so I'm going to switch over to another double pointed needle and just keep chugging along. La, la, la. 3, 4. And I'm clickety-clacking my circular needle as I go. There you go. Oh, I could have been right here with my hands on my lap all along. La 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 la. Okay, That looks decent. Let's see, that's 3, 6, 9, 12. Wow, 14 again? I wasn't even counting. Who's counting? Oh, I was wondering. I couldn't find one of my needles. All right. Knitting around. Let's go. 1, 2. Now we'll count 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, there's still some pink fuzz in there. 7. Must have caught it when I picked it up. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Now it's going to be important if I have some pink fuzz there from where my waste yarn was, it's going to be important for me to pull that out, especially before I wash it, because I have this yarn, it was very cloudy, right? There's no ply to it. So it would bond together once I wash it. Okay. All right. So now I'm very close to being done here. And I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so that was the first stitch that was on my needle before. And now I'm going to pick up, and I picked up 5 on the other side, so I'm going to pick up 5 here. And then that'll be the end of my row. So just kind of have to gauge evenly where my 5 are going to be. So I'm going to there's less of a gap here. I'm going to sort of go into this one. So I'm going to go in here with my right hand needle, and I'm going to knit around. So that's 1. Going to pick another one, 2. Go into here, 3, and let's see, I'm going to go in here, 4, and there, I'm going to go into 5. And I was very careful to pick up in the same row. So when I pull these needles together, right, they're going to line up. They are working from that same row of stitches, so there's not going to be this sort of weird geometry there. So I have picked up 5. That means that I'm going to have 2 extra stitches, because remember I was supposed to pick up 4 at the beginning, 4 at the end, and I picked up 5. So that means I have to decrease 2 in a strategic place to make sure I have no hole. And again, totally ignore me if you want. You can pick up the exact number of stitches if you think it looks totally fine. I don't care. Whatever you want to do works for me. I'm going to need another stitch marker. That's going to be my beginning of the row. And what do I want to use? I'm going to use a large pink one. So that'll be nice. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to knit one onto here so that that stitch marker is secure on a needle. Otherwise it would sort of be in between. And there we go. I have started the next row here. And let me see, sleeves. Okay. All right. So actually, I'm going to be working on my crossed stitch. All right. So I slip one purlwise, and that yarn was very loose because that's where I started with. Then I knit one, I yarn over, and I pass the slip stitch over. So I've worked I've worked 2 stitches. I've worked 2. So this would be 3. That's going there. And now, because I am clever, I'm clever and I know math. Remember, there were supposed to be 4, but I had 5. So when I knit, I'm gonna knit 2 together, like the extra one that I made. Then I'm gonna yarn over, and then I'm gonna pass the slip stitch over. And I'm gonna take off this little stitch marker now. And then I'm gonna do it again. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna knit one. Oops. I'm going to yarn over and pass the slip stitch over. And I'm gonna do that. I'm just doing my crossed stitch again. Gonna keep going with it. Oh, yarn over. Don't forget to yarn over. Boop. And that's gonna be, notice that I still have big loose stitches, but you can take your needle through and you can sort of jimmy it so that the tension is even there and there's not a bigger hole. So you can do that. And then you have to keep count when you get to the other side and you get to this this stitch marker. That's when you're going to find your places to reduce the stitches. So what you can do is anytime you knit one, you know, if you have an extra stitch, you can really knit 2 together. But again, you do not have to do that. And there I am again. I'm going to slip one, knit, oops, yarn over, pass the slip stitch over, right? And then if you're using a double pointed needle, like, you know, transfer it over here. Yeah. Okay. So that is how that goes. And then you're going to do your cross stitch, your knit. I mean, it's not very long. Yeah, really. There's only 5 rows now. So you're almost done. Congratulations. I hope you found this a little bit helpful. I'm going to make sure to demo because there is another sleeve that I've got. And until then, happy knitting.